Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Camera Tuesday, we're gonna talk about budget camera versus smartphone. So let's dive right into it. Now first you have to understand what are the exact problem that I am so against budget cameras. Well, reality is camera prices are consistently going up, meaning they are suffering from what we call price creep. Meaning A7 Mark III, when it was released, it was quite amazing. For $2,000 it was giving things that was unheard of, unmatched. However, when Mark IV was released, it reached upwards of $2,500, and same thing is gonna happen with Mark V. It's gonna most likely touch $3,000. Everything is price creeping up, even on the lower end. Now that compared to the mobile's development, it's on a hyper speed, meaning this is Samsung 22 Ultra, and this puppy has a actual zoom function. When you are dealing with static subject, meaning you are like trying to capture something that is far away but it is static, for example a building or sign or a bird that is like hunting, preparing for his prey. In those sort of scenario, you will find this camera this puppy can actually beat a camera that looks this size. I'm not even joking. Like, it's mind-boggling the amount of zoom they have achieved. Now people many times like, iPhones are better. Well, no, flat out no, tangibly no. Because yes, it is true this puppy can shoot video that looks comparable but not as good as iPhones, but you can still show both of the basically output from both cameras. Like basically video from iPhone and video from this, it won't be like, oh, this is garbage and this is like, it will like, it could be better. That's the common general consensus, and most of the time, most likely people are talking about is the consistency between all the lenses. That's one good thing that Apple does, and another aspect is that color science are a bit more people pleasing kind of scenario. However, the zoom functions from this puppy will bitch slap every iPhone. It was like, are you serious? Like, iPhone is like watercolor blah blah blah. This is like, yeah, I have a zoom lens that can actually see things that are that far away that your eyes cannot make the detail, and that's a very huge achievement to have something that is that pocketable. That's a next leap forward. Now Samsung has this right now in basically S22 Ultra. What does that mean for the future? That simply means by the time of, let's say, 3 years maximum, this puppy will be a mid-range mobile phone where you can like just, my eye can see, let's say 10 meters away. This camera is like, I got this, fam. I'm gonna read from 10 meters away. So that's awesome. Like, this sort of development on mobile phone was unheard of, unthinkable, but it's happening. Mobile phones are going from barely able to do a call to barely able to, like, I am so old that I remember there was like, it can store 500 numbers in phone book. I'm like, wow, damn. Like, do we even care what is the capacity of your phone book right now? So you get that point. Development on mobile phones during the same period as digital cameras, it's got speed, it's hyper speed, and mobile phones are now the primary clickers everywhere, meaning you go from Instagram to Facebook to everywhere place where we are selling photos, buying photos, consuming photos. Generally most of them are being shot in mobile phones, and yes, people do make money from Instagram's kind of posts. So yes, it does count as money making, even same as Facebook, and it does highlight a problem that most of the cameras, even the modern Sony cameras, are stuck in 1970s. Like, flat out. I like Sony cameras not because they are the best. I like them because they are the least terrible compared to everything else. Meaning that's how bad it is. Like, I get it, like there was some limitations because of some stupid politicians. They are like, we shall have 30-minute limit, otherwise, like, if you exceed 30-minute recording limit, we're gonna give you a penalty and you have to pay higher tax as a video camera equipment. Again, companies could not do anything about it, and I can't blame them. But here's the that law was removed 2 years ago, I think at this point in time almost 3 years ago. But still, only Sony is the company that's like, throughout the line they have removed that 30-minute limit. It's like, no, we will not have that limit. That limit was external, we will not enforce it. Only one Canon camera can do that, and one Nikon camera can do that. Again, why? Like, it should have been a firmware update for everything. It's like, tada, done, take it and go. Or at least, like, new releases, that should have been done, because again, that may create a loophole if you update old equipments using new firmware. But again, I'm 100% sure most people would not have cared. But again, at least new releases, like basically new manufactured products, should have been updated with a firmware fix. They did not. Everything in camera industry is stuck at 1970s, like how the menu looks. Yes, I'm talking about the modern menu. It's garbage. So flat out, what does that mean? That simply means cameras are painful to use unless you already know it. Meaning, you will find that like people who are coming from old age, as in like they've been using digital cameras for last 10 years or DSLRs, they'll be like, dude, your equipment is so awesome, because they are coming from cameras. So yes, modern camera is better, but the moment you give a modern camera to a kid who only evolved with smartphones, they're like, dude, what is this garbage? That's the aspect that you have to understand. More and more people are coming from the second part, basically coming from mobile phone to cameras. Then there are camera people who are upgrading to a newer generations of camera. So that creates a scenario where camera are flat out painful. and camera development is flat out stalled. To give you a context, unless you count video functions, if you have a camera that was released in like around 2015, raw files from that and modern cameras like 2025 even will look more or less the same. It won't be like whoa. Like I have gone through digital cameras like basically mirrorless DSLRs hype cycle of all generations, meaning the first hype cycle was megapixel, how many megapixels. Then the second hype cycle was like what is the ISO noise performance, noise. Everybody was talking about noise. Then became the third point, that was like what is the dynamic range. This at this time there were like only Nikon and basically Canon. No other company existed like in big public conscious. Then it became when Sony entered the phase. Sony was like technically better, but Sony was struggling very hard with color science. So that generation became the color science issues, like who has the better color science. And this is the time when people were like Fuji, because Fuji's JPEG engine is really good. But you get that point. Like camera, even though they are so expensive, even though they have like such a large corporation backing them, they flat out stalled in terms of development. Meaning 2015 cameras versus now in terms of still performance, not that drastic, but 2015 smartphone versus current flagship, whoa. Here's something even better. Flagship of 2015 versus mid-range of right now, that's the same difference. That's the amazing aspect of it. And usability is the main factor that's missing in the camera industry. Meaning, why is the people buy camera and they do not upgrade into the ecosystem? Why don't, like, even if Sony is like, I'm gonna give you, let's say, A6100, buy this camera, learn the Sony ecosystem, get into the Sony ecosystem, and then you're gonna buy better cameras, more ecosystem, more lens and all that. Just why does people do that? Simply because it's garbage. The usability of this sort of equipment is so bad that unless you know what you're doing, you will be like, I'm gonna put this in an Almira and I'm gonna close that Almira. I'm never gonna open it again ever in my life. And I have seen people do that. That's why it's not something that is hypothetical to me. I know friends who have gone through this. Now, what is the primary cycle for customer? Well, the biggest issue is the feedback loop. Meaning, DSLRs are the worst at this simply because what do you know? You are looking through something. Okay, awesome. So what are you getting? You're only getting framing. Meaning, is it wide? Is it zoom? Is it tilted? Is it like this? Like other than that, you have no reference. Basically, how your image is gonna look, and that's the whole point of digital photography. It's like supposed to give you that quick verification, very quick feedback. It's like, hey, is it overexposed or underexposed? And consequence, people do chimping, meaning they take a photo. This is what we call chimping, and that is the biggest loophole of DSLR. And that's why many people do not upgrade to manual mode in DSLR, because they have to trust the camera. Because if you're not getting feedback, like yes, you can understand through chimping, and people have been doing that, but in comes to mobile phone, you just slide a slider. It's like, what is the ISO performance? You slide the slider, you get that feedback. It's like, how the heck it's gonna work? And mirrorless in that regard is better. Like if you have to buy a modern DSLR, don't. Flat out don't. Again, if you are starting out, especially if you are looking at low budget, do not do that. Buy even the cheapest mirrorless simply because you are more likely to use it, especially if you are coming from mobile phone. That feedback loop is important. That's how you improve. You need to see what you are capturing. You need to see, hey, if I do 1/60th of a second, how does my photo look? If I do 1/200th of a second, how does my photo look? You need to look at it in order to create a feedback loop, in order to create like exposure triangle in your head where you're like, I get it. I think I need to add a bit more light, but I really don't want to give shallow depth of field because it's a fancy subject. So what if I make it slow shutter? You need to go through all of that. So mirrorless is much better in that regard because it allows you to see the actual output, meaning what is your sensor seeing, what you're gonna capture, when you press the shutter. So that's a very important aspect. So DSLRs are worse in this regard, and that's like another aspect why people like just buy it and put it in Almira. And I guarantee you, personal guarantee, that if you look around, you will find more than enough people who have done this. Now mirrorless is a bit better in that regard. However, after you have taken the photo and you really want to look it into large picture, then the second problem becomes inherent. Displays that are used in mobile basically cameras are a joke, and it's ironic how bad it is. To give you a context of that, Sony is gonna sell you this basically their Pro and smartphone, which could go upwards of 4K display. I'm not joking, like 4K on this sort of size, which is amazing. But okay, you can even buy full HD variant. Okay, you got that. Here's it. Why the heck this display is not in your camera? Why the heck I have to buy $2,000 smartphone in order to get better display? And here's the deal. A display on even the cheapest, crappiest mobile phone you can buy, smartphone that has been made after, let's say, 2020 even, it will bitch slap any display on any camera. That's how bad it is. Like right now, type DSLR in sun, that's the first image you get is a hood, because that's how bad it is. That's how low brightness it is. And we have made amazing developments in basically display technology. Why the heck the main display on your camera is garbage? It's like, why? It's like, for Sony, it's even more frustrating. It's like, dude, you have the semiconductor division that makes the damn display. It's not even for you. It's like, oh, I have to buy from Samsung or buy from LG. It's like, you make it in-house. Why the heck you are not integrating that, like, high quality system into this? And that's why, like, this is the worst. Rather than showing how many pixels it has dots. Like, it took me time to understand, because they are counting in dots because it's so low resolution. HD is not been achieved yet. Like, mobile have reached 4K, but these puppies are like, HD is a thing that we have not truly actually achieved. Whereas, like, this is a big display, like, let's say 3 inches or 4 inches proper display, which is full HD. Good luck with that. So, and that's why they count in basically dots, because dots multiply with a large number. So it's really garbage. And UI makes the life hard, simply because, let's assume I give you a DSLR or a mirrorless, and you took let's say 50-60 photos. Let's say you went into a botanical garden and you had a lot of flowers. You took a photos of that. Now do the same thing with your mobile phone. You go there, you take same amount of photo. Yes, at the end of the day, like, let's say you sit on a bench before you pack up and go home. You try to review all the images, you get a feel for it. It's like, did I do a good job? Should I retake some things or not? Yes, deal. Which would be much more comfortable experience to review everything? Is your mobile phone or is your camera? If all of you have said your mobile phone, that's the whole point. It's garbage. The user interface that is on basically DSLRs and mirrorless is garbage. And God help you if you have bought something that does not have touchscreen. This is one of those things. If the feedback loop is weak for modern audience, I'm not talking about the people who have, like, back in my days I used to negative films. I know. But for common people, basically kids who are like growing up, who are getting into jobs, who are getting their salary, for them, because they have only known mobile phones, this sort of weak feedback loop is just not good enough for them. And I can't blame them. Like, this things should have been sorted. It's like, it's not a magical technology I'm asking goddamn full HD quality displays that have been manufactured in mass from like past 10 years. It's like, why the heck your display literally looks so ancient? Like 1000 nits, try to find any camera that has 1000 nits. Right now, even mid-range mobile phones have that. So that's the whole thing. Fundamentally, the feedback loop, basically, how can you improve yourself? It's so slow, it's slow, cumbersome. People are like, yep, no. It makes life hard, basically. They are actively trying to make your life hard. And then we come to the another aspect of post-processing, because fundamentally a camera sensor can capture everything there is that sensor is getting exposed to. Is going to capture. It's like, what is the color value of here, what is the spatial resolution here. It's like, it's going to capture everything. That's not an issue. Problem is that creates a raw file. That raw file is A, huge, B, non-deliverable, meaning you cannot give raw file to anyone. You don't give raw file because, again, it will not read in most camera systems, and that's another side effect. Like, some reason even companies like Canon be like, okay, all Canon RAW is like, this proprietary format. That's not such thing. It's like every model has their own proprietary format. It's like, what the hell? Like, you can literally have a code pack for let's say Infant Viewer. I use that a lot, and it's like, I uploaded a code pack that works for, let's say, 800D. Now Canon releases a new camera, let's say 900D or 850D. It's JPEG, basically its RAW will not be shown in that, because it's like, do not have the update latest code pack. It's like, you seriously, inside Canon only. I'm not talking like, something that works across the cameras. I'm talking about like Canon. How about you have a .Canon format? It just works for every Canon. How about Nikon? You have just .Nikon for, so nothing is there. So that's another issue. That's why raw files are not deliverable. You do not deliver your file in raw. You always deliver it. Again, as a game artist, we used to do Targa. Sometimes we use TIFF also is utilized, and sometimes PNG is used. JPEG is last resort, but again, you need that. JPEG is like the worst joint picture expert group. It's sold everywhere. Basically, it's the easiest deliverable. You send it to Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, whatever have you. So camera does not know what to do of the raw to JPEG. That pipeline is the weak link, because camera does not know what it needs to enhance, what it needs to tone down. For example, let's say you take a close-up, intimate close-up of a rose, and you will notice that rose have like leaf petals, and these have veins. Now that looks ugly if you really amplify that vein part of it. However, raw footage, basically raw data from the sensor, has captured everything. Now JPEG engine, let's say it does not understand what it's looking at. It's like, you know what, I think those veins are details that's supposed to be increased, and it boosts up the contrast in the veins, and veins starts to pop out on a leaf. It's like, it looks unreal. It looks creepy. It's like, it does not look good. People will call it like, is it hybrid rose or something? That's the whole thing. RAW gives you all the data from the sensor, but JPEG compresses all the data and makes it deliverable. Now, because it compressed it, it throws away detail. Fundamentally, you go from, let's say, 25 MB file to 1 MB file. That creates issue. What data it has thrown away, you cannot recover it. So you have to do that raw processing yourself, because camera does not know what to enhance, what not to. And at the end of the day, mobile phones have the same thing. Again, early days of mobile phone, they did not have the ability to give you raw file. They could not have handled it in the RAM memory also. But now they can easily do it. Most cameras can give you the option is like directly take raw files. Mid-range phones can easily do that and process it quickly enough. And because of the importance of mobile phone and the fact that they have really powerful processors, even companies like Adobe, they are like, you know what, how about we give you basically a full Lightroom. I'm like, wow, full light. Surprisingly, because again, sometimes it does happen. It's like when you have a code base that has been, legacy supported for too long, it has too much junk into it. Sometimes starting from fresh, basically from mobile phones, starting from fresh for new architecture rather than x86 working for ARM, they created a much smoother experience. So it's surprisingly awesome. It's like it gives you exactly what you need to modify. It's not too cluttered. It's rather simple actually. It's awesome. You can edit raw like up to pro level, especially if you have a tablet. Good luck. You done. You take all the footage from the even a pro and DSLRs, done. You can like do some serious work there. However, for some reason, even with this amazing development, even from large companies as Adobe, camera companies are like, what if we F the customer, what if we really make the customer's life hard? Like this, like I have this sort of camera, basically Canon 800 that you are looking right now. It has Wi-Fi. You're like, okay, all my problems are solved. I'm gonna take a photo and I'm gonna transfer the raw file into my mobile phone. In my mobile phone, I'm gonna use an app that converts basically blah blah format to DNG format. Then I'm gonna use that DNG to process my system. Awesome. Here's the problem with that. For some reason, Canon, Sony, Nikon, almost all of them, having some exception, like for some specific model, does not allow you to transfer raw files. No, they just don't. Why not? No, they just don't. It's like, F the customer. It's like customer wants raw file. Like right now, the best option is they literally have a USB file, or some people like literally take the SD card and put it into a card reader, then plonk that card reader into your mobile phone, and that's how they transfer the file. That's how bad it is. Like, yes, you can do that, but good luck trying to figure it out. Like, you have to know how to do FTP transfer protocols. It's like, why? You have Wi-Fi, you have an app. It's literally a matter of only adding few blocks of code. And again, you can simply say, hey dude, you cannot view the files. You just give the file, just figure out a way to copy the file from here to here. And Wi-Fi does have the bandwidth. Do not claim that, oh, Wi-Fi is not fast enough. It has. Even at 2.5 gigahertz is more than fast enough to transfer raw files. You just put it here. Some other app will easily, I guarantee you, if some day, let's say Canon made it like, system-wide update, where it's like, now you can transfer raw. Next day, I guarantee you there will be like, this app now supports this sort of function, done. Like, it just have to go into camera, basically mobile phone memory. Other people will use it. Now you're like, is it really useful? Well, yes. But think of this, many people, especially in wedding, now they are very impatient. It's like, they are taking the photo, they want it now, they want it right now into Instagram, and you have to accommodate, because if you do not accommodate anybody else who cracked this puppy accommodating it, you say bye bye to your job. So you understand it. It's very important. So right now, let's say you have Sony full frame cameras. Thankfully, you can do that. But again, you have to go through FTP. Good luck with that. But it is doable. And let's say you can literally have a scenario where you have one person who's maintaining the inventory, and you have, let's say 4 or 5 photographers doing everything, and everything is wirelessly being backed up with that individual that's using a tablet and editing on the fly. So that way you can literally have a complete pipeline, and also has a backup of, let's say, in case of camera theft, camera fault, you do not lose all your important data. So that sort of thing is priceless in modern era, and camera companies are like, F the customer. And I do one very important thing. That's why, like, I literally bought this hyper expensive camera just for that one thing. I wanted to do what we call Milky Way photography from a light polluted area. Now, only way to do that is what we call exposed to the right. You look at the sky, patch of the sky where you think that Milky Way would be there. You take a photo and you expose that puppy, you overexpose that. Now, when you transfer that file into raw editor, you edit it back, and then you see stars. Basically, Milky Way, that faint pink color starts to appear. I have tried that, and I have that photos in Instagram, but again, it's not that great simply because that time Milky Way was not risen up in the sky. But again, that required me to be on a friend who had a laptop, so I can do that in rooftop. Imagine it this way, like if I can directly transfer the file into my mobile phone. Done. Go home. Sweet dreams. So that sort of system really hurts. Like, this sort of hatred of post-production is like, dude, let me do it. Or heck, even better yet, have that goddamn app built into your system. Zeiss did wanted to release a basically interchangeable lens camera that could do that, but that has not reached market yet. So you get the point. Like, this is another thing. That's why people hate it, because people who are coming from old cameras, they can easily use this. People coming from mobile phone, they're like, dude, why can't I do this? It's like, why do you have Wi-Fi when I do not possess the ability to transfer the goddamn file? So you get that. Like, that's why people hate it. And okay, I'm so hampering on the basically cameras so much. Is there a value for it? Is there a use for it? Yes, there are some user. There is a speed of dedicated tool. For example, I used to use my mobile phone again because mobile phones are far better webcams than any webcam in the market. I literally used to have mobile phone, but again, I for my live streamings, I did have an issue where it's like people were giving me UPI, and I needed to use that goddamn mobile phone that was stuck in the on top of monitor. So I had to buy a webcam, and that's the benefit. Like webcam did reduce the quality, but it did simplify my process. Same will go with camera. I'm using my camera right now. It simplifies my process. Like I put the camera there, I take it for done, go home. I do not have to worry about notification. Do not have to worry about calls. Like these sort of little things do matter. There is a dedicated benefit to speed. And there are some edge cases right now at this moment in time, which I'm pretty sure, given the speed and development of smartphones, I know for a fact that it will be cracked in next 5 years, but there still fails. For example, sports photography. While Samsung has the zoom reach, it can reach it, but it does not have the oomph where it can process 100 FPS at the same time. It will reach there sooner or later, but it's gonna take some time. And the true shallow depth of field, there is only one way to crack a true shallow depth of field, that is by utilizing stacking at with liquid lens. But unfortunately, only one or two companies have looked into liquid lenses, and none of them have really pushed it to its upper limit. So that I'm pretty sure is not gonna happen in anytime soon, unless randomly every company is like, dude, that's the only final frontier that we cannot crack. How about we do that? So that could happen, but likelihood is low. So these are few things, niche cases right now. If you are doing as a hobbyist or enthusiast, this is where you can bet your money. Whereas if you are taking coverage of a lot of sports, a lot of true depth of field, you're gonna utilize this. And there is a job requirement aspect of, meaning if you're going to a wedding, a couple is not going to pay you if you come up with a mobile phone. And I guarantee you, no matter which mobile phone you have, during wedding everybody randomly has much higher quality camera mobile phones. And again, if it's iPhone, I guarantee you, especially if you go to rich people, everybody has iPhone. Everybody has iPhone, every single one of them. So you really can't expect to be paid for doing basically what everybody else is doing for free. So for people won't pay you if you do not show up with a huge camera. And it has that psychological feeling. And it's a dumb ape brain thing, but it is there. It's like many times people don't even buy into APS-C system or like Fuji. Even if the raw JPEG option is much better, like straight out of the camera JPEG is much better, people will like, dude, I need something that looks big, that's damn is big, you need to know what you're doing with it. There is a psychological aspect of that, and it does give you final great quality if you fight through all the troubles I have mentioned, meaning trouble with its post-processing pipeline, troubles with the fact that it does not have good feedback loop. If you go through all of that, if you really grind it down and really push through, and if you have good lenses and good camera body, you're gonna get great final quality. However, be mindful, some kit lenses are bad, meaning compared to modern optics that is in modern smartphone, it's not even a fair fight. Like modern optics on a smartphone will destroy kit lenses. So that's why I specified, generally stay away from basically cheap cameras. It's much better to take that bulk money and pour it into your next smartphone cycle. You're gonna have a much better, much more useful, much more convenient output. And not to mention, there are a few things that camera does not control. For example, composition, that's not controlled by camera. Lighting, not controlled by camera. And framing, not controlled by camera. And basically what to shoot, when to shoot, these things are still you. So a mobile phone and basically a DSLR does not make that much of a difference. So if you can master those things and then you jump into a camera, and you hopefully in the future, before these companies go bankrupt, if they figure it out, let's make it actually smooth to use, you can still get a great final image. But right now, for most majority of the people, do not goddamn buy a basically cameras. Just don't. It's like many people do not know how painful modern cameras are, because they are stuck in 1970s. So this was my presentation on basically why you should buy smartphone, high-end smartphone, rather than basically starter smartphone. Hopefully, starting basically DSLRs or mirrorless. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike. Press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.